moving along to our next subject at hand. So a couple days ago, it was reported that John Krasinski, Jim Halpert from The Office, as well as husband to Emily Blunt and many, many other things, director and star of A Quiet Place, director of Quiet Place 2, person who many, many of fans have speculated fan cast him as Mr. Fantastic and maybe dreamed and hoped that he would, in fact, direct Fantastic Four, and he said publicly in interviews he would be interested. It's reported he had a virtual meeting with Marvel Studios about many potential projects. So that's kind of the full report. We don't have a ton of information. It's not any sort of confirmation of anything. So we don't know exactly what that means. But for all the people out there speculating, all the people out there like dream casting Fantastic Four, there's a little bit more hope that, in fact, John Krasinski could end up being Mr. Fantastic. What's your take on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like what he could have met for outside of the Fantastic Four, because like you said, he like nothing indicated that is exactly what he was meeting for. And you know, if he was meeting for Fantastic Four, I think that's going to be a dream come true for a lot of us fans of the material and whatnot. I mean, he's been fan casted since like I don't know, for like the past decade or whatnot. It's like him and Emily Blunt. Right. It's like, oh, they have to play them. And I think they do a really good job for sure. There's a reason they're being fan casted. Like, it's not just based on looks. It's like based on talent, abilities,
and their vibes. Their vibes.
Yeah, and
like that's one of the ones
exactly.
So like John Krasinski for a long time was in the running, or he was kind of Chris Evans and him for Captain America.
Yeah,
and obviously went to Chris Evans, and everyone's like, that's amazing. And Krasinski himself has been like, yeah, that would have been why would you cast me when you can get what we just got?
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, when I hear that, like, I've always thought that John Krasinski, like, I don't know, he just has a cartoonish look to him. Of course, handsome, good.
Yeah, he's very like an everyday guy, you know, and maybe a lot of that stems from just like the guy he played in The Office. But I think that's just who he is. He's a very genuine, down to earth person.
And he doesn't, like, to me, I don't see him as Captain America at all, even though like now we've seen him in like 13 Hours. We've seen him jacked. And that's not to say he's not handsome, but he doesn't quite have that all-American just look that Chris Evans just so perfectly does as Steve Rogers. But Mr. Fantastic, this everyman scientist guy, that just feels perfect. Like the vibe that he can give off where he can be heroic. We've seen him do that. Jack Ryan, 13 Hours, but also be playing smart. Someone that has great chemistry with the people around him for a team movie, not someone that feels like they need to be in the center stage. Like he has all of those things. And then you could just look at a picture, like any of these, you know, Photoshop pictures of him with just a little bit of gray on the sides, and you go, oh yeah, that's like straight out of the comics.
Yeah, he can do it.
Someone in the comment section, Paul said, I think that John Krasinski is a little bit too old for the Fantastic Four. Now, I mean, I'm not quite sure. I don't know your context for saying you think he's too old, but Reed Richards in the comics, historically, I mean, he's got gray on the sides. So, I mean, they might have to add that to John Krasinski to give him the look. So, like, he's not too old for this specific character. The comic book characters, you could cast him. He's about 40. He's just a little bit older than me. This seems perfect.
They're not going for like the Fantastic Four babies that like, Josh Trank was trying to do, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that interpretation, but it just looks like they kind of want to go a more traditional route, which I really hope that's what they do. And you know, I'll take it a step further. I hope they set it in the 60s, and I hope they tie it into the Ant-Man films that way, with like, you know, Hank Pym going out on secret missions, and maybe he works with Reed Richards and stuff. Like, I think that could be really fun. If they made the Fantastic Four like a time period piece, and it would explain like why they haven't been around, because, you know, Reed Richards is like the smartest guy in like Marvel history, arguably outside of like Hank Pym, and so like why would he not be around for the events of the MCU? Well, because their prime time was in the golden age that took place in the 60s or whatever. I don't know, something like that always just like has really excited me. But
I love I love that pitch right there. We talked about it before, like X-Men First Class. I love that it is kind of that 60s vibe, and if you do that with Fantastic Four, even that almost kind of has some of the fun elements of The Incredibles if you do something like that. And I've said it many times before, I would love to see more of Hank Pym, Ant-Man, and you just proposed a way you do it without needing the full movie of de-aged 75-year-old Michael Douglas, where you just have, 15 minutes where they do like a mission with him. That sounds so cool. I love what you just said. All right, we got some questions. I'll throw them to both of us. Let's go real quick on this one. Noah says, what if John Krasinski stars and Peyton Reed as the director? Is that a good match? I think his vibe fits Fantastic Four. How about you?
Yeah. I mean, you can look at the Ant-Man movies as like the MCU's Fantastic Four stand-in right now, but I would not want to see him for that. I think you need someone like a Brad Bird, go get Joe Johnston back. I think he'd be perfect for it, especially if it's a period piece. Those are my picks for right now. Peyton Reed just isn't someone that has that initial like flair and style that I think you need for a Fantastic Four movie.
Next question, perfect for you. What about Leigh Whannell directing Fantastic Four?
If you want to go in more of like a horror route, like sure, maybe. I can't inherently like envision him like directing the film. It feels like an odd choice. Maybe if they were going like the Josh Trank route again, then perhaps, but no.
And if you guys don't know, Leigh Whannell is the person that directed Upgrade as well as Invisible Man. We love him as a director. Strange fit. And Griffin got to interview him. We shared a clip of that about a month back. Final question, and then we'll start to move on to our next subject. Paul says, Matt Damon as Mr. Fantastic. I think he's too serious. I think John Krasinski has a little bit more that you can believe him as heroic, but he also, you can have the oddness, the fun side to him, where Matt Damon seems a little bit more intense. He's done comedies, but by default, he's a more intense guy.
I would say he's also just a more famous person who's been in more things, and so then you're carrying that baggage into it. And like, John Krasinski was Jim on The Office for like 9 seasons, but he hasn't really like crossed over into film the way that like Matt Damon
franchise with
exactly. Like Matt Damon is Jason Bourne. He's like been in a whole bunch of other films since then too, and so like Krasinski doesn't have that attached to him, especially because people don't really watch Jack Ryan that much anyways. So
well, how dare you? I
listen, I love that show. I think it's great.
I love it too. I mean, because I grew up watching the Harrison Ford movies. Love Clear and Present Danger. I don't really have any criticisms of the Ben Affleck one, Sum of All Fears. I didn't like the Chris Pine one really too much at all. But I'm a big Jack Ryan fan, kind of as long as I've been into movies, and then Jim Halpert starring in it, big fan. So anyway, that's a recommendation, everybody. If you're looking for something to binge, if you like spy espionage stuff with action, check out his Jack Ryan show starring John Krasinski. We'll close out with one more comment. Here we go. Neek Nerd Geek says, why do people want Jim Halpert to be Mr. Fantastic? He's already Jimmy Woo in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I forgot about that. I forgot that he already appeared. Standout role in that film. Just scene stealer, super funny. If you guys don't know what he's referring to, look up The Office Asian Jim and you will understand what that reference is. But yeah, it's a nice little joke right there.